So I'm going to share my story about my life as a realtor, and I'll be talking about my first two sales in my second year, because I had no sales in my first year as selling a home as a listing agent. So I'll go to my second year. So I managed to complete two homes. One was a condo, the other was a detached. Let's talk about the condo. So one of the challenges I had when it came to selling this particular condo was the pigeon issue. So what's going on with pigeons? Pigeons are actually very common to be on people's balcony, and they like hanging around there. They like creating nests. They actually poop a lot there. It's like a party house there. So what happens is that every single time when I was there was massive amount of pigeon feces all over. It was really bad that it would really detract from buyers from wanting to buy, because it's such a nuisance. It's bacterial issues, health issues. It's very unpleasant. And if they had their furniture in there, it'll be covered with feces. It was so annoying. So one thing I had to do was make sure every time there was a showing, any open houses, I would make sure to have all my supplies and clean it, wash it, scrub it down before I have any listings or any showings coming through. And one thing is, it's a good and bad, was the fact that the buyers didn't know that there was an issue. If they did, the best way for them to know if there was an issue was because a lot of times sellers would have these fence with barracks and needles that are attached on top of the railing to prevent pigeons from trying to get onto the balcony. But if buyers found out that there was already as an indicator that there's a pigeon problem, buyers are not going to want to buy into it because they have to deal with that issue. And it's a very negative and it's not a very attractive feature to have. So pros and cons, disadvantage and advantage, but I do feel bad for the buyer that ended up buying the home because I didn't disclose that. Not that it required to be, just to let the board know, not a requirement. And so that really helped in selling my client's home. But another negative feature that I do know a lot of buyers have is when you're close to a electric power grid area, especially one near this home. It wasn't that far, and it wasn't necessarily next to it, but it was within the visual of the person coming into looking at the home. And that was a big concern because people always worry about being around a power grid of such sort would emit issues, causing radiation, emitting waves that are not great for people. So again, I try to let them know, hey, honestly, it's not that close, not within your preferred vision. It's not that bad. The only way you can see it if you're really outside the balcony. Another thing is, it had one of the best features is the Mount Baker view. Now it's so breathtaking. So I think that was one of the heavy hitters in regards about how we sold it really well. So that was one of the difficulties in selling that condo. My second story I'm going to talk about is further down. We'll talk about it afterwards. All right, I'll talk to you later. So I'm going to talk about my second listing that I ended up selling was a detached home. So for a detached home, it's slightly different. Obviously, a lot of buyers care about location, 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 but there's also pros and cons about detached homes. So for condos, is different in regards about detached homes. Detached homes, all about also a big concern is lot sizes. So the size of the lot is a big importance to a lot of buyers because obviously you want to stretch your dollar to maximize that amount. Another thing is shape. If you have irregular lots, unfortunately, a lot of buyers tend to be deterrent about it, or they tend to frown on the pricing. Pricing needs to reflect on the irregular size. For example, if you don't have a perfectly square lot or a perfectly rectangular lot and a lot that's more triangular, you're going to limit your buyers on who's going to be purchasing that home. Now, we had to educate that to the seller because the seller themselves obviously believe that their home is valued a lot higher than maybe what the market is actually indicating at that time. Now, as a result, we had to figure out pricing as well. Pricing will reflect the value of the home because of the irregular lot. But one great thing about that home was actually being a corner lot. Again, a lot of features. pro for that home was a corner lot. Corner lot provides a lot more exclusivity, more privacy, and it tends to be a lot larger in size as well. But then the disadvantage would be is the fact that it is irregular size. So not a perfectly square home will also be a con. So pricing the home, advertising the home has to be done properly to really pitch the right buyer for the home. So that was also one of the biggest challenges when it came for me selling the home and being able to pitch that idea to the buyer and the seller in regards about reaching a win-win situation in that scenario. Another great feature about the home was it had a rental suite. Having a rental suite is great because it provides a mortgage helper income generator to help maximize the value and also reduce the mortgage payments on the home when it comes to buying as well. Helps alleviate a burden financially for you. Now, another great factor on the home was the fact that it was really completely renovated. So it was really nice to have that selling point as well. Buyers love to be able to move in the home without having to stress out in figuring out how to renovate, the time, the financial burden in regards about renovations as well. So those are the two stories I have in regards about selling my homes in my second year of real estate. And I hope that, you know, as a buyer, even me as an agent, I'm very, very particular about how important the end use and the value of what buyers are looking for and vice versa for a seller. So stay tuned for my next story and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!